Hi, this is Dr. Gretchen Lewis-Snyder, and I'm here with Dr. Carla Berkeley. We're with Blossom Whole Family Therapy and Child Psychology Center. Carla and I want to talk to you today about a presentation that we did originally with Mount Olivet Lutheran Church, our community partner, that we did, and Paige Nelson, Dr. Paige Nelson was also part of that presentation. It was the second in a three-part series on managing stress and building resilience. And this part two is going to be focused specifically on building resilience. So let's just talk a little bit. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what is it exactly that allows people to be resilient? What are their characteristics?
Too often we talk about stress first, don't we? But when we did talk a little bit about how resilience is connected to stress our first day. But today we really want to focus on the resilience piece. What can we do to build some of our own resilience, and how can we support others in doing that? You can see 6 blocks here, right, Gretchen, and we're going to be getting into each one of these. Let me just read them so that if you're listening to this, you can hear a little taste of what we're going to be talking about today. Resilient people, we know, are self-aware. That's a big one.
It is a big one. It really is, because how do you do anything different unless you're aware of what you're currently doing?
Yeah, not as easy as it sounds.
No,
either.
Not at all. Not even a little.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that and actually doing some fun exercises to increase our self-awareness. Enlisting your support team. Connections. I mean, we just know that from research shows it. I mean, anywhere you look, it really is shown. People who are connected are resilient and healthy and actually live longer. And I can even think right now of some connections about people that you just want to go and hang out with or talk to.
Totally. You come away from them feeling energized.
Right.
You've literally drawn strength from them.
That's right. And the bonus is you're increasing your own resilience and theirs. When you do that.
That's right.
Important one, take care of your biology. Wow, that cannot be understated.
No, it cannot. It cannot. I can't even tell you how often I talk to people about biology.
Yeah. So
sleep, exercise.
That's right.
Right. All that good stuff.
Yes. Along with that, having a self-care toolkit. So not only those basics of sleeping, eating, exercise, breathing.
Right.
But what else can you put in that self-care toolkit? So we're going to be talking about that, and actually also having some resources at the end of the presentation that people can go to to start building pieces to that toolkit that resonate with them.
That resonate with them and that suit them. Absolutely. Yep.
Now the next one is a little surprising to some people, like to help others.
I know, it is.
So how do you use that to build your own resilience?
Well, as anyone who's helped others, and we all have, right? When you come away from that experience and you see the impact that you've had on someone else, the positive impact you've had on someone else, we automatically feel good.
Absolutely. And we'll see later in the presentation that some big names like Gandhi talked about that as well. But being kind, understanding that self-awareness and helping others really goes a long way towards building resilience.
And I'm sure people can appreciate how in their heads they get when they're caught up in stress. So one of the other major things that helping others does is it gets you out of your head.
That's right.
Altogether, and have your attention focused on someone else that actually feels really good.
It does. And it takes you away from thinking, I have to build my own resilience and just doing.
Right, and just do. Yep.
That last one, do not have all the answers. Those resilient people do not have all the answers.
How can that be?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, all right. The physiology of stress. This is really interesting because I know you talk about this with the kids that you work with as well quite a bit. About the physiology of stress, what's actually happening inside of our bodies, because we certainly feel and experience sensations when we are stressed. Like our body speaks to us.
That is so true. That mind-body connection, really the focus of our first podcast. Yep. So we talked about it at length there, but we bring it back because what we know is this physiology and understanding those connections, how your mind, the stress you feel, the frustration affects how your body is acting, right? Or not acting. Yep. And the same way also, if you're dealing with illnesses, if you get headaches, those kinds kinds of things can really have an impact on how we're feeling mentally and emotionally.
Right. Yeah. So this clip, the technology, the way that we record this doesn't allow us to actually play the clip within this, but it's a 2-minute clip about why stress is good for you, which is like, what?
Yeah.
But it's good because it includes a little bit of that physiological piece. It talks about how the amygdala, right, hits the alarm button, and all the physiological things that are happening within our body when we're under stress, and how when you take on those small challenges, what you're really doing is building your frontal lobe, your prefrontal cortex, which is your problem-solving center. And so taking on those challenges and experiencing the emotion and the sensation that goes along with it and working through it in a healthy way does build your resilience. You become stronger, more able to manage the other things that come up. So then smaller things that come up are like, they're no big deal. They no longer trigger that alarm. It's like you've gotten used to being able to handle that stuff. And so
that's really the key to understanding why stress can actually be good to you.
That's right.
It be good for you. It can really help you develop those ways of handling the stress, all those emotions and feelings and frustrations you feel, and get them out of that alarm part of your brain, that amygdala, and get them all the way up into the frontal lobe, where you can really start thinking about good decision making.
That's right. Yep. So when we think about, we talked a little bit about the self-awareness, but really self-awareness and self-care, I kind of think of them as being two sides of the same coin, right? You can't do one without the other, because, and so you have to develop an ability to be self-aware, and that's really important. So, so we'll talk about this in the context of the big picture sorts of things. So, our biology and our relationships, but also in this presentation, we're going to talk about in the moment, in those critical moments of stress, where maybe you're in the middle of a conflict, maybe you're in the thick of a specific stressor.
Yeah.
What in those situations can be helpful, help you regulate your emotions, and help you with the way in which you're interacting with others in those key hot moments.
That's right. So both of those things, both the big picture about self-awareness and self-care, how they work together, and also in the moment.
That's right.
Which so many of us need help on.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's think about biology. Now, we really can't think about stress and resilience without talking about biology, like we said at the beginning. Here we lay it out as 4 different components.
Right.
Really, these are all intertwined, aren't they? We talked a lot about whether we should put sleep before eat.
Right.
And who knows, right? It's a flip of a coin again. Right. But what we know is that all of these pieces affect that physical part of our body, which relates to the mental part of our body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sleep, my goodness, such an important part of what we need to think about every day.
Yes.
I always love how you talk about not how much sleep we need, but how much sleep deprivation we can handle.
That's right.
How does that work again? Right.
So I just love, I go back to this, we as professionals do all this continuing education training, and I went to one that was a doctor that was very involved in sleep research and worked in a sleep lab. And she talked about how in lab conditions, which, no one lives in a lab condition, right? But they could create it, and all of the sleep issues are dealt with effectively, that adults settle into about 8 hours, and it was some weird number of minutes, like 13 minutes of sleep, 8 hours and 13 minutes specifically. That
all adults.
Huh. That in those lab conditions, that's what and there was no variation. There's never no variation.
Right.
There's no variation. But what we vary in is how well we tolerate sleep deprivation. So I know there's a lot of you out there that tolerate sleep deprivation well. And I know there's a lot of you out there that are like, oh no, I don't tolerate. And I am one of those. I don't tolerate sleep deprivation very well at all. And so it's just interesting to really think about it that way, because sometimes I think we underestimate the importance of sleep, or we feel like that's what can give, when we're stressed, if we're pressing up against a deadline, like somehow it's okay to sacrifice sleep in order to meet that deadline.
Doesn't everyone do that? I certainly do. And then you feel the effects of it the next day. And guess what? Others do as well.
Others do as well.
That impatience.
Yes.
The difficulty handling those small bits of stress we were talking about earlier.
Right.
All of those pieces.
I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but one of the things when we did this with our community partner, Mount Olivet, is we broke off the youth into separate. And that's what Dr. Paige Nelson did that. We are actually doing a podcast separate that's specifically for youth, so the tween and teenage. And I love the analogy that she uses, which is that this is like us charging our devices, right? Eat, sleep, move, breathe. That's charging your device. If you don't have a charged device, it's not going to function the way you want it to, right? It's a problem.
That's right. And that does happen to all of us.
That's right. Totally.
So you can imagine how that impacts the other things we're talking about here. Eating, so the importance of getting protein in the morning to get us going, to fitting in those veggies throughout the day, and to really figure out what fuels your body the best. Moving. Yeah. Exercise. This means lots of different things to lots of different people, but what it means is get moving. That's right. We put it that way.
Right. That's exactly right.
And we know that you can integrate that, can't you? You can get up and do 10 minutes here and there.
You absolutely can. I personally like kind of the twofers and even the threefers. So if you go for a walk with a friend, like you've hit exercise and you've hit connection with others, right? All in once. You bet. There's all kinds of ways of doing that. And then if you walk in nature with a friend, which we haven't talked a lot about being in nature, but that is another piece that is shown to be really effective. So then you've got a threefer.
That's right. That's right. And I would say that breath, being in nature for breathing, it almost like refuels that.
That's right.
Good breath tank.
So think about that. You could walk in nature for 10 minutes with a friend, and you hit 4.
Awesome.
You hit 4 of the things.
I think that's what I'm going for.
Right? Totally.
Yeah. All right.
So in the heat of the moment then, in the heat of the moment, we talked about the big picture, but when the actual stressor is happening, where do you notice that your attention goes? What's going through your mind? What emotions are rising to the surface? How big are those emotions? How intense are they? And then what are you doing to help yourself in those moments? Are you doing the things that are actually helpful, or are you kind of in that reptilian brain where you're just simply react?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between reacting and responding.
And what that video we talked about earlier, the stress and physiology, it told us is that we really are often in that early brain.
That's right.
It goes straight to our alarm center when we're feeling stressed. And that in the moment self-awareness can help us remember that tells us fight or flight.
That's right.
Which is not usually the answer or what we need to be thinking about at the time. So that self-awareness and practicing some of that with some of the exercises we'll be doing later really will help us move our emotions and our ability to make decisions from that alarm center into the frontal lobe, that smart part where we're really thinking about healthy.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I know, if you guys watched part 1, the podcast that we had from part 1, this should look familiar, right? This triangle, this connection between the way we think, the way we feel, and what we do. This is the foundation of that self-awareness, right? Because we need to pay attention to that. We need to pay attention. And then in the first one I had a mind tricks. I thought I better include one again in the second. So, when you look at this, what do you see? What do you see? Some of you are probably right away spotting the duck. Some of you are probably right away spotting the rabbit. And then I say duck and I say rabbit. And if you saw the rabbit, you maybe are seeing the duck, or you're maybe being really confused right now.
That's right.
Because it's actually both.
I love mind tricks because I think mind tricks reminds us of all of these ways our mind plays tricks on us every single day.
That's exactly.
And that awareness, that self-awareness will not only give us the way to see a different perspective, like you're showing us with the duck and the rabbit.
That's right.
But also to recognize that just because we're thinking of something in a certain way, have one perspective, means that, hey, we can change that, right? When we start thinking about healthy decision making.
Yes.
We can make it work for us.
We can make it work for us. That's exactly right. Yep.
So thoughts and actions can all be mutually
connected. That's right. And somehow I inadvertently clicked it twice, and it's
That's
not
all
going to
right.
let me go back, but that's okay, because the slide that got fast forwarded through is the mind tricks, right? And again, we talked about this the first session, but just to remember, that perfectionism, right? That sort of all or nothing sort of thinking. These are the sorts of barriers that get in the way of us being really responding effectively in those situations, being pessimistic about the outcomes, believing that there's going to be some, horrendous catastrophe if things don't happen just so.
That all or nothing.
That all or nothing thinking. Yes.
Personalizing, that's a hard one for me. Not taking it personally.
Oh my gosh, so hard. Or blaming others. It kind of
right.
can work both ways.
That's right. And not seeing your kind of action upon
Yes.
that. And tell me about your shoulding,
I know.
Gretchen.
There's this therapist that I knew once. That was what he used to say. Don't should on yourself or anybody else.
That's right. And so often we do.
And so often we do,
Yes.
right? We set those expectations of what we believe is, should happen. Mm-hmm. And then when it doesn't, we're really disappointed or frustrated and upset about it. And in reality, it maybe wasn't a realistic expectation to begin with.
That's right. So what is healthy thinking? How do we go from some of these mind tricks to healthy thinking?
Well, again, when we are feeling that stressed out, we're often dealing in guesses and assumptions. We're focused on what's out of our control. And oh my gosh, how many people put tons of energy into trying to control what's out of their control? I mean, don't we drive ourselves batty with this?
Absolutely.
Totally. We do. And so it's like, again, it's self-awareness. Is that where you're at right now? Because if it is, that's not what's helpful. That's not going to help you respond effectively. And so what you can do once you've realized that that's where your brain has taken you is that you can reroute it. You can, on purpose, take your attention and move it back to what's helpful. What is actually true? What are the facts without filtering the facts out? Mm-hmm. The big picture. What's the big picture? What's factual? What's true? And then what are the things that are actually within your control? Mm-hmm. What's in your control? It could be that this is a solvable problem. If so, again, get out of your head and get down to the business of solving problems. It may not be a solvable problem. And so again, stop beating your head against the wall, working to change something that's not, and instead learn how to accept that is what it is.
That's right. So I know with, once we go to the next slide, which talks about problem solving, this is a lot of what we talked about with youth.
Yes.
During our session.
That's right.
But we included it here so that you can see that there's kind of a step-by-step that goes along with problem solving.
There really is. And I'm really only going to talk about the first one because honestly, the rest of it falls into place once you do the first step well. That's the reality. And it seems really obvious, but what is the problem? Answer that question. What is the problem? And why is the problem a problem? What is making it a problem? Like what really, this is the investigative step. This is where you really have to get to your fact collecting and you need to get specific.
So are you making the claim that we don't always think about the right problem?
I am making that claim. I am making that claim. It's true. Like, okay, we can't get out of the door in the morning. That's the problem. Okay, well, think about all the things that need to happen in order to get out the door. Any one of those could be what's tripping you up, or any combination of those could be what's tripping you up.
So that all or nothing thinking doesn't always work.
That's right. Because what people sometimes do is then they start to think of solutions that don't actually address the problem that's the problem.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then it doesn't work. And then we get frustrated. Well, that doesn't work. Well, that doesn't work. Well, that didn't work because it wasn't the right solution. The solution didn't fit the problem that you actually have. So take the time and really think about what is causing the problem. What are the contributors to that problem? Because as soon as you start to do that, the rest of this stuff, what can I do about it? What's the best idea? That all falls into place. All falls into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, just test it out. I like to test things out because we know. And then what happened? Not did it work? Because did it work is all or nothing. It's a sneaky little all or nothing thought. Mm-hmm. It's not did it work. It's, what actually happened? What went well? What didn't go so well? And what can we do to tweak it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's look at self-care. We know that self-awareness that we just finished talking about and self-care are so related.
Right.
But actually, this is the fun part.
This is. Yes, this gets more.
So what we decided to do in this podcast, which we didn't quite get to in our conversations out in the public because there's so much information.
Right.
Is really to offer some strategies specific to self-care so that you could try them out with us.
That's right.
See how they resonated.
Yes.
So we're going to be going over, you see here, mindfulness, getting creative with changing activities, connecting with others, and enlisting support. But to do that, we're going to jump right into a mindfulness meditation activity.
All right. This is so great. So let's see. Even Homer Simpson can relax, right?
So that means we can all do it too.
That's right. If Homer can do it, absolutely.
So you saw we will be adding a resources section like we talked about earlier at the end of this podcast, and you saw a link on the previous slide for a loving kindness meditation. But I am going to take us through an actual meditation script.
Yes.
That is yet another thing available on the internet. This one is actually from Emma Seppala, who's the science director of Stanford University's Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education.
All right.
So this is a guided meditation. I'm going to talk you through it just to give you a sense of what it is, but really, if you have the time now, it's a wonderful way to just be calm, be mindful, have some of that self-awareness like we talked about before, but really marrying it with self-care. So I'd like you to find a good mindful body position. What does that mean? That means if you're walking, continuing to walk meditatively is wonderful. If you're sitting, it means sitting up, getting your back straight and your feet on the floor if possible. That allows us just to breathe smoothly, start getting aware of what's around you. That's a wonderful way to sit. If you're lying down, that's okay. You can lie on your back and find ways to stretch out your body. Any of those things. So let's get started. Close your eyes. Sit comfortably with your feet flat on the floor, your spine straight. Relax your whole body. Keep your eyes closed through the whole visualization and bring your awareness inward. Without straining or concentrating, just relax and gently follow the instructions. Take a deep breath in, breathe out. Take a deep breath in, breathe out. Keeping your eyes closed, think of a person close to you who loves you very much. It could be someone from the past or the present, someone still in life or who has passed. It could be a spiritual teacher or guide. Imagine that person standing on your right side, sending you their love. That person is sending you wishes for your safety, for your well-being and happiness. Find the warm wishes and love coming from that person towards you. Now bring to mind the same person or another person who cherishes you deeply. Imagine that person standing on your left side, sending you wishes for your wellness, for your health and happiness. Feel the kindness and warmth coming to you from that person. Now imagine you are surrounded on all sides by all the people who love you and have loved you. Picture all of your friends and loved ones surrounding you. They are standing, sending you wishes for your happiness, well-being, and health. Rest in the warm wishes and love coming from all sides. You are filled and overflowing with warmth and love. Now bring your awareness back to the person standing on your right side. Begin to send the love that you feel back to that person. You and this person are similar. Just like you, this person wishes to be happy. Send all your love and warm wishes to that person. Repeat the following phrases silently. May you live with ease. May you be happy. May you be free from pain. May you live with ease. May you be happy. May you be free from pain. Now focus your awareness on the person standing on your left side. Begin to direct the love within you to that person. Send all your love and warmth to that person. That person and you are alike. Just like you, that person wishes to have a good life. Repeat the following phrases silently. Just as I wish to, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease and happiness. Just as I wish to, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease and happiness. Now picture another person that you love, perhaps a relative or a friend. This person, like you, wishes to have a happy life. Send warm wishes to that person. Repeat the following phrases silently. May your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. May your life be filled with happiness, health, and well-being. Now think of an acquaintance, someone you don't know very well, and toward whom you do not have any particular feeling. You and this person are alike in your wish to have a good life. Send all your wishes for well-being to that person, repeating the following phrases silently. Just as I wish to, may you also live with ease and happiness. Just as I wish to, may you also live with ease and happiness. Now bring to mind another acquaintance toward whom you feel neutral. It could be a neighbor, a colleague, someone else you see around but do not know very well. Like you, this person wishes to experience joy and well-being in his or her life. Send all your good wishes to that person, repeating the following phrases silently. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from all pain. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from all pain. Finally, expand your awareness and picture the whole globe in front of you like a little ball. Send warm wishes to all living beings on the globe who, like you, want to be happy. Just as I wish to, may you live with ease, happiness, and good health. Repeat this silently. Just as I wish to, may you live with ease, happiness, and good health. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And another deep breath in and let it go. Notice the state of your mind and how you feel after this meditation. When you're ready, you may open your eyes.
That was really nice.
Can you just feel the difference?
Right. Getting, I love it because it's the giving and the receiving both.
Absolutely.
That back and forth.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it briefly at the beginning, that kindness toward others is part of our own self-care, and that research really shows us how that bolsters our resilience.
Yes. And also just the change in thinking, right? When you go into that kind of a meditation where it's really focused on similarities between people and that truth about how we really at our cores have similar needs and wants and desires.
That's right.
Yeah.
Especially helpful in today's climate, isn't it?
Sure.
Those connections.
For sure. Yep. All right. So we just kind of want to take a pause here and kind of facilitate and guide you into thinking, getting into a self-reflective place. So we've talked a bit about biology. We've talked a bit about the way that we think. We got a little taste of some meditation. So, given what we've talked about so far, is there any area of self-care that you want to improve? Think about starting with something that is meaningful to your life, and think about it being a reasonable and achievable goal.
So this isn't start running 5 miles a day.
Correct. If you are not exercising at all, or your exercise is really limited, setting a goal of exercising 5 days a week may not be realistic. So, really be truthful truthful with yourself and honest with yourself about what's realistic in your life, given what's going on, and thinking about something is better than nothing. Anything that you do is a movement forward. And so again, staying out of that all or nothing thinking.
Right.
And just picking someplace to start.
Yeah. And I talk a lot to people about this kind of mindfulness idea and these meditations or mindful eating, whatever it might be. And really talking to people about how we took, 10 minutes there, maybe just a little less. That's totally enough. Maybe it's even 5 minutes. Maybe it's integrating it into your day while you're walking to the next thing you need to do, or while you take a pause, while you're waiting in your car to do something.
Right.
So it really can be small but meaningful to you.
It really can be. And I mean, it could be as little as 1 minute that you're focused on your breath. I mean, I think.
Right. Absolutely.
It's
those breath. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so choosing something that is important to you, thinking about why it's important to you, thinking about what's the reason you want to pick that, what is it about that is really of value to you, because motivation is important. So when you explore the reason that's the thing you're picking, and you imagine what it would be like if you were actually doing that thing and achieving that goal, right, and you're thinking about what would be some advantages of that, it helps you get into that place of being active and moving forward with your change.
So even though a friend might be going on the best diet in the world, doesn't mean you need to.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly
Or not necessarily a diet, but a change in how they approach life.
That's right.
It needs to be meaningful to you.
To you.
So really clarifying your own values is a great way to do that.
It's a great way to do that. And then too, thinking about what does get in your way. Because let's face it, if it were easy to go exercise 5 days a week, or to have a meditation practice, or whatever your goal is, you would already be doing it.
Right. Absolutely. And sometimes those barriers aren't just in your mind. They're actually legitimate. They're difficult to find the time,
day-to-day logistics,
energy to do that.
Yep. And so really looking at that, and because I think it's a combination. It says identify excuses, and we all know what we're talking about there, right? But also legitimate barriers, as Carla was saying, and thinking about both of them and starting to do some problem solving about those.
Right.
Problem solve, stick with it, follow through.
Yeah.
Which again, this is why, back to the top, it's so important to pick something reasonable.
That's right.
Because you'll lose steam otherwise.
Yeah. And maybe even that problem solving, I think back to when you said, are you focusing on the problem? That's the actual obstacle or whatever stumbling block.
Right.
So really figuring that out. So maybe sitting down with a friend, talking about this, or really doing some self-reflection like you started out with.
So if that's something, it can be helpful. If you want to just hit pause and do that right now while it's all top of mind and fresh, feel free to do that. Sit down, make some notes for yourself, and really, really go through and do that.
Start small.
Start small.
All right, so one of the things that we are continuing with is this idea that connections with others is so important.